Today we're at scenic Fraser Park, home of El Tejon School, and today we're here to... Well, this afternoon we're at El Tejon School, and with me right now I've got Katelyn, a 7th grade student. And how long have you been at this school?
3 years.
3 years? This is your 5th year? Everything going well?
Yeah.
One more year?
Yeah.
All right, well, let's go ahead and work on a math problem right now. All right, so I'm going to read some information, and then you can mark however you need to. Okay? So, there was a student that rounded 10.68494 to the nearest hundredth. So why don't we go ahead, and how would you round this to the nearest hundredth?
You look at this number, and if it's 5 or over, you round this one up.
Okay, so you're looking at the 4 first, right?
Yeah.
And why do you look at the 4?
Because it's the next number after the hundredth.
Right, because this is tenths, hundredths. So you're correct in looking at the hundredths and the number after it. And as you said, what is key with this? What do you do with that number?
You round it down because it's under 5.
Right. So what would this number round off to be? So go ahead and write the new number over there. Well, you said this number is going to...
Yeah, this one's smaller, so it makes...
So that's going to stay. There you go.
I'm just kidding.
Well, that's all right. The kid, I'm an old man. You can do that a little bit, all right? But so the 4 is going to keep this the same.
Yeah.
If it was a 6...
It would make this become 9.
Right, okay. So then you take the same number and round it to the nearest whole number. So what would that turn into? So you want a whole number now. And what were you looking at? How do you know this is 11?
That number, and it's over 5, so it makes this number change to the next one up.
Okay. And since we have 2 numbers after the decimal here, well, why don't you go ahead and put a decimal and put 2 numbers after that, which are going to be what?
Zeros.
Zeros, because that doesn't change the value. It's still 11.
Yeah.
We would like to know the positive difference between these 2 numbers. And all that means is what is the difference between the 2 numbers? All right, and what is the difference between those 2 numbers? How would you do that?
You would subtract 10.68 minus 11.
Well, are you going to go 10.6?
11 minus 10.68.
There you go. So go ahead and do that for us. So what is the difference between the 2 numbers?
0.32.
0.32. And how would you read that instead of saying 0.32? How else could you say that?
32 hundredths.
Perfect, 32 hundredths. But what I'd like you to do now is another step. Are you ready? Mm-hmm. I would like you to represent that as a fraction in simplest form. So explain what you did. So you took 0.32, 32 hundredths, you turned it into a fraction, which is correct, 32 hundredths. And then what did you do?
I divided that by a number that, the least number that can go into both of them, or the most number that can go into both of them, and then got 8.
And how do you know, like, is 825 the simplest form?
Yeah, because no number can go into both of them.
Right, so no number can go into 8 and 25, so you know you're in simplest form.
Yeah.
Katelyn? Perfect.
Thank you.
Well, once again, we're at El Tejon, and right now I've got 8th grade student Emily. Are you well?
Mm-hmm.
You feeling all right? Uh-huh. You're not nervous?
I am.
But everything's going to be fine. I promise.
Okay.
Now, you were saying that you have no idea what the problem is, because all the other kids, they were like, oh, I kind of get an idea what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And we'll see, you're in 8th grade, so I'm not going to give you any clue.
Okay.
All right? So here we go. I'll read the problem to you. You write down anything that you feel is going to be important. What is the positive difference between 2 to the 5th and 5 squared? So, once again. So, the first number I gave you was 2 to the 5th. So, how would you write that? 2 to the 5th power. Good. And the other number was 5 squared, 5 to the 2nd power. And we want to know what is the difference between those two numbers. So first of all, there are some students that are going to be wondering how you're writing numbers like this and what those mean. So is there anything you can explain about the 2 and the 5?
Yeah, so it means that you do 2 5 times.
Okay, so this would be the base number, the 2,
Yeah.
and then you have an exponent of 5, which means you're going to multiply 2 5 times. So go ahead and write that out so students can see what that actually looks like. Right. Because sometimes a student would look at this and go 2 to the 5th and say 10. Right? Do you see how they
Yeah.
might do that? But it's not going to be 10. So go ahead and show what that would be.
So 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16, 16 times 2 is 32.
Okay. And then if you would be so kind as to write out 5 squared
Which
the
is
same way.
5 times 5,
Okay.
which is 25.
And the question is, what is the positive difference between those two numbers? So what would you do now?
Subtract 2
And what
numbers.
would you get?
5 minus 2, 12. 7.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now the reason I had you do this problem is because sometimes a lot of students will go, well, the 5 looks bigger, so it's going to be a bigger number, but it actually became smaller, right, because of the exponent. All right? So 2 to the 5th is actually larger than 5 squared, and the difference between them is 7. Easy enough problem, right? All right, Emily, nicely done.